What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? As you know, it is not yet 7 o'clock, but the hour is forthcoming. And I just want to introduce tonight a little bit differently because tonight's conversation is much needed. It's much needed because we are living in perilous times. We already know that we are living in the heart of coronavirus. And COVID 19 has been a blessing to some and a curse to others. But one of the things I definitely want to talk about is the fact that we have a responsibility to ourselves to make sure that we're doing everything we can do to get our houses in order. And when I speak about the house, let me explain to you. I am not just talking about the infrastructure. I'm not just talking about your brick and mortar house. I'm talking about your house, your temple, and your house. And so for the month of July, All Things Authentic is focusing on a series called What's Up with Your Bag. So last Thursday, we talked about all things economics and we talked about processes and things of that nature. Tonight, we're going to talk about credit. And this is important because credit is something that can make or break you straight up. So tonight, we are going to have a practical conversation to help you understand how to make good decisions and manage credit wisely, okay, when confronted with credit related choices, whether it's now or in the future. The key is to understand the bigger picture. Every time you use credit, it impacts your credit file. But what about when you use your credit for somebody else? What about when you decide to use all paper and no plastic? Okay, so we're going to talk about credit tonight. And guys, tonight's topic is credit, paper, or plastic. So without further ado, let me bring everybody to the platform so that we can get this thing rocking and rolling. Hey guys!
What's happening?
Hello.
So, guys, you see, I have my panelists
Hey.
here. Hey. So, what we're going to do is we're going to start off tonight with a testimony. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody's mic until we get ready to chit chat. But we're going to start off by talking with Miss Laura. And we're going to talk a little bit about um, the ifs, the wins, and the hows. So, Miss Laura, thank you so much for being here. You know, I always love when you're here with me.
Thank you,
Um,
Missy.
but tell us your story about credit, specifically with marriage, divorce, children, and all of those components.
Oh Lord, that's a long story. No, um, pretty much basically is I wasn't taught credit at a young age. I was raised in a very poor home, and my mom didn't have no bank accounts, no credit cards. Of course, back in those times, they weren't quite as popular either as they are now. So it wasn't until I got married to my very first husband, which I was married at a young age, at the age of 18. I didn't really know nothing about credit. He didn't know much about credit. So, of course, we started off on a really rough patch. I mean, it was, we just spent, we did what we thought we had to do. We had then had 4 kids at a young age. So that just put us in this big spiral. And then once we started figuring out that, yeah, we got kids, we got these responsibilities, we have to have credit. By this time, we had already used our credit so crappily that we found out real fast that we didn't have credit at all. And then when we started building credit, realizing we needed the credit, building the credit, then he got sick. We went through a divorce. And in the meantime, with that, being me, young, not knowing nothing about credit and having shared banking accounts and things, he did his own thing, which was writing bad checks, which was in both of our names, to the banks, just running up different things. And it wasn't until after we got divorced and I'm like, okay, I'm going to places and they're like, we can't give you credit. You got an outstanding check here. And I'm like, no. And they showed me a check and he had signed a check at Walmart for over $200. My name, I never signed it. It wasn't me, it was him. And this was after we split up. So of course it more dampened my credit, even though we was going through a divorce. Um, so it went for a big downward spiral. And then so over the years, it took me a lot of time to build my credit back up to even get anything whatsoever. And then you learn real fast that not everybody that's trying to offer you credit is for you. And I went through that situation as well. Um,
Whoa.
we got a car from a local car company place here in town that is like, well, um, we thought we was doing good by getting a car. I was like, yes, I'm married to a better guy. He's working a job. We're going to go get us a car. We needed a new, nice car. I get a car just to find out that the credit company that was handling the mortgage on the car was a total sham, a total scam. They was giving us this ridiculous interest rates. We were supposed to have a warranty in the car. That find out that the company that had the loan on the car also owned the warranty company, so they wouldn't fix things. So much so the auto mechanic even told me these people just scammed you big time. They wouldn't fix the vehicle, even though we had paid for the warranty on the vehicle. Um, so in the process of that, I finally said no. The motor was messed up in the car. They wouldn't fix it according to what they wanted to for the warranty. So I had to let that go back, which of course put a negative thing on my credit report because it put on there that I voluntarily closed out my account with the car, which I did. But of course, it was because of the fact that they had scammed me from the get-go. So not only is it important to manage your credit, but also to watch the people that are trying to give you credit, because not everybody that's trying to give you credit is is doing it for your benefit. They're doing it for their benefits of you getting your money.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let me plug you right there. So, guys, I want to elaborate on something that Miss Laura said. And thank you so much for the information. And just stay here with us because we're going to come back to you. So she's right. So let me tell you a little bit about why this topic is important. Once again, shout out to Alex. Y'all see, she all over the place. She moving around and doing some of everything. But she is the catalyst for this conversation. We talk a lot about finances. We talk a lot about credit. We talk a lot about Alex relative to what she's doing and what she wants to do as she progresses through graduate school. And so for me, interestingly, when I went to college, we didn't really have conversations about credit cards and stuff in our household. All I know is that my mom and dad, I never saw them use credit cards. They always used cash or checks, but we always went to the bank to get the money. So it's not like they just had money hiding under the beds or, I remember, and this is how I'm dating myself when I say this. I had a bank book. And every time you went to the bank, they either wrote the date in the book, the balance, and what you were withdrawing or depositing, or they stamped it with one of them little stamps that you had to roll it to make the date. And I remember having my own little bank book, and my mom would slide it into a package. And if I'm not mistaken, I still have my old school money bag that my mother used to keep my brother and I our money in and our bank book. But guys, when I went to college, that's when I found out about credit cards. So I decided, oh, I want to get big screen TVs. I want to start buying Jordans because my mom and dad didn't play that. They weren't paying more than $40 for some shoes. They weren't playing them games. They were not playing those games. And so, I got to college. I can get a credit card. How I didn't even really know how it worked. So fast forward from 2003, fast forward to 2010, guess what? And I'm saying this publicly. Your girl was 25 years old in her last year of grad school and was filing bankruptcy. Why? Because I had got credit cards for me. I was getting cell phones for me. I was getting cell phones for my family. I was getting cell phones for friends. I was spending buku money that I did not have. On top of a year prior to that, I had a major abdominal surgery. Yes, I had insurance, but guess what? Insurance doesn't cover everything. So at the age of 25, guys, I had $157,000 worth of debt at the age of 25. And only about 63.2% of that debt was mine. Yeah. So this topic means a lot to me because I'm very transparent about my credit, my financial situation, everything now because I feel like we fake too much because of social media. I have relatives who put on so bad for social media and then they DMing and sending cash app requests. So credit and your financial stability go hand in hand. Because with coronavirus, a lot of y'all can't go to the bank and get loans because your credit jacked up. You don't save. But tonight we're talking about credit, paper or plastic. So, Mr. Chu Hefner, I'm going to come to you and ask you, what's your preference? Paper or plastic?
You say, what's my preference, paper or plastic?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm fucking with the paper. You know what I mean? Because you got instant value there. And a lot of places, it's the most liquid form that you know you can move around with. But with
Okay.
that liquid asset or just having the cash in the bank, that increases your probability of having a higher credit. You know, a lot of time having cash on hand is beneficial so that you can use credit. I mean, personally, I'm the type that when I got credit, I like to spend some on my credit card, but I don't spend more than I got in the bank. Let it hit, and I'll pay it with that same cash. So, like, technically, I'm still using the cash that's in my pocket and not living outside of my means. So, I mean, in, you know, most scenarios, cash and paper itself, I think, holds the power or the
Mm-hmm.
foundation, while credit holds most of the purchasing power. You know what I mean? So, the more liquid assets you got in cash, the bigger bag you can get to spend their money. So, save a little bit of cash, get you 10,000 in the bank, and then you can take that 10,000 and go get a $10,000 loan. Spend their 10,000, pay their 10,000 back, keep yours in the bank. So you know what I mean? I think actually having that paper is really more important than you understand when it comes to using the plastic. Because plastic don't really play a role with paper. It's gonna consume the paper. But paper adds to plastic.
Ooh, okay. You know what? I'm sick of you and these riddles, but they make sense. But they make sense. So I think I just feel like firing some shots. So are you saying that when you use your system and process of you might use the plastic, but you make sure that you pay for it with the paper? Is that how you can travel all over the world in 10 days? Yep,
I
your mic
can't
is muted.
see.
Okay. So, it's interesting. What he just said is brilliant. What he just said is brilliant because that's something that I had a conversation with someone not too long ago, and we talked a lot about credit building, and just really what credit is. And so I'm gonna come to you now, Alex. This is your baby. So tell us, what do you prefer, paper or plastic?
Oh, that's a hard. Okay, I'm not. You said those riddles. They do make sense, but I'm gonna say, ooh, I guess my preference would be. Oh Lord, hold on. Would be. I'm gonna say plastic just because of I know that it's helped me build my credit for being so young. So
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna say plastic for me.
Okay, now
especially
Alex,
with my age group and stuff. It's helped me. Hmm.
so let's expand upon that. Talk a little bit about how you use the plastic. I
Okay.
mean, are you just going
So I
swiping
opened
stuff?
up my no. Oh my gosh, no. So I opened up my first credit card. This was after college, actually. So this was right before I started grad school that I got my first credit card, and I didn't get the credit card just because I needed. I really got it because I wanted to improve my credit. Because what I didn't know is that those, not hard. I'm sorry. When you get big purchases, it affects your credit. When you open up bigger stuff, it affects your credit. So I was like, oh my goodness, I need something. And I know I wanted to fix my teeth, so I was like, I want to get something to help improve my credit. So I did get American Express card. Biggest mistake ever. If I had done my research, I probably, not that it's a bad thing, but I feel like there's a better credit card for me that I could have gotten besides American Express. But anyway, I opened up an American Express in 2000, maybe 2016. And so no,
Okay,
I have not been swiping. Every month I put a budget for myself, how much I'm gonna spend a month,
okay.
and I try to stick to that. And then that way I know how much I'm supposed to be paying a month. And I do pay over that amount. So I pay way over the minimum balance. So, and I only have one credit card, even though I'm always getting offers from Credit Karma. They send it in the mail from the bank and all of that, where they try to offer all these credit cards, but I know they're going to get me in trouble. So I just throw them away or delete the email and keep it pushing because I know myself. And if I see that credit limit, it's over. So I just try not to look at it, to be honest. I try not to even open it up and look at the interest and all that because I feel like that's how they reel you in. So, but it's helped my credit a lot, especially because I've never been late on a payment. I always pay beforehand and I always pay
Hmm.
over the minimum due. So to be honest, it's helped my credit a lot. But I do understand how it can hurt your credit again if you can't afford it, if you're spending more than
Yes,
what you can afford per month, if you're not paying on time, that's really detrimental to the credit. So for me, it's helped, but I'm very understanding of how it's gotten people in debt, though. Like you said with
absolutely,
your store, you
absolutely.
you looking at that credit limit, go get a cell phone, go get some Jordans, because you know you have it.
And the crazy thing is, the bad part is, I had the
Hold on,
money.
I can't hear anybody.
So it's tough because like Alex said, pay over. Don't just pay the minimum payment due. Pay more than that because that's what's important. Making sure that you are monitoring your credit, and I'm not talking about monitoring your credit report and credit scores. I'm talking about monitoring your credit from within your home. So I know that okay, I make X amount of money each month. This is how much it costs for me to live, right? This is how much my non-essentials cost. But look, these are things that are essential to my daily living. This is what I'm paying for first. And then you start to kind of take it from there. But Joshua, I'm going to come to you now. What do you prefer, paper or plastic? Joshua, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Well, to answer the question, I would say both. Um,
Okay.
when I was introduced to credit, well, let
Mhm.
me speak on that from my experience. Um, I seen what my parents went through as far as with credit. So I didn't want credit. And I was 18 years old at the time, and I was trying to get a new car. So I went to this credit union, and you know, anyway, make a long story short, the guy pretty much told me like no credit was worse than bad credit, and I was like, wow. I said that doesn't make any sense, because I was like, if I'm getting a new car, that would help me as far as build my credit and stuff like that. So he was like, well, go ahead and get you, one of them department store cards, and you know, just pay it off like that. So I wasn't like given the game of how to properly handle my credit. Now I can say at that time I was working at I was doing collection at Sears Credit Center. That's how long ago it was. uh, but I remember this African guy. He was telling me about his family. They would do like these large hotel meetings where they discuss credit to whereas they would get like 15 credit cards, but they will only spend like 10 to 15%. I remember that vividly.
Wow.
Uh,
Yep.
but it didn't click. Nor did he. He was like, yeah, you should come, man. So you can see the same thing, or learn the same thing. So especially as far as within our community, we'll just say, don't get a credit card. We don't explain why, or how we could properly manage and stuff like that. So, be now that I'm 40, I'm just now grasping how to really utilize credit properly. Um,
Mhm.
and I want to get that information out to our people uh, a lot more. We need that type of financial literacy because it's just like my man said there. Especially when you could use that for leverage, um, and how these businesses work. They really want that interest, so you kind of could play these financial institutions against each other. Like, okay, so who's going to give me the lowest APR?
That's
You know,
it.
yeah, because they stay competing. Like you can have the cash, and a lot of times now they don't want that because they want that extra money.
They
So,
do.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay.
So,
And John, you brought up a great point, and I want to elaborate on that a little bit because you're exactly right. No credit is worse than bad credit. And the reason I definitely understand and can agree with that is because I know that we as women are more apt to get a credit card than you as men, simply because the stores that y'all shop at really don't have credit cards. The shoe stores really don't have credit cards. So for us, baby, let me tell you something. I had Lane Bryant, Victoria's Secret, Forever 21, Burks, daggone, oh my God. Every community bank store that use community bank, baby, I had their card. I'm trying to tell you, I had their card. And so it's crazy because when I think back now, I'm like, all of those credit cards, and not one of those was a line of credit that
hmm
I could have for longevity and to borrow from so that I could start a business or that I could make a big purchase or I could take that and put it down on something that would appreciate versus all this shit I got around me that's depreciating value every single day. And so I think that when you say that, another thing, one of the things we have to understand, and I'm talking about Gen X, Y, and Z. Because baby boomers got it a little bit better. But Gen X, Y, and Z is this. Be mindful of how you share your credit. Now, I'm not saying don't share your credit, right? Because I know that I do have individuals, and I can think of two people, and I'm not going to call them out because they'll shoot me. But I can think of two people, my closest friends, that if there were ever a situation, we could authorize one another. But let me tell you something. You got to be careful, be careful when you share your credit with somebody that already got jacked up credit to the degree beyond repair. Because, see, that's where the issue comes in. It's one thing to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to make you an authorized user on my card because I know you don't have credit and I'm going to help you build credit. But, see, it's another thing to make that friend of yours an authorized user on your card who got a 425, well, no, 450 credit score because they don't pay. And see, that's the issue. There's a difference between not having credit and not paying when you get stuff. Because a lot of people get stuff on credit and don't pay it back. Let me tell you something. Cell phones and payday loans will terrify your credit. They will destroy it. They will destroy it. I'm telling you. I am telling you what I know. Cell phones, I definitely know. Payday loans, that ain't never been my thing. But cell phones, I'm trying to tell you. All right. So we talked a little bit about whether you prefer paper or plastic. But now I want to come back to you, Miss Laura, because I would like for you now to speak to discriminatory lending. Now, we know that with credit, it shouldn't be based on race, sex, sexual orientation, political affiliation, or any of that. But we do know that it is. Point blank, period. So I want you to speak to going to get credit post divorce and sometimes how you're looked at and what the process often looks like.
Yeah, that's been a tough one. Once you've already been in that situation where you went through a divorce and, things are supposed to be 50-50 and, people are not taking on their share of the responsibility, it's a whole lot harder for you, and they do discriminate a lot. Perfect example for me would be because of my ex-husband and the credit situation, our credit score was horrible. I was going around trying to fix things as much as possible that I could fix. And when you go to get an apartment, they'll say you have to have a credit score. We're going to run your credit in order to get an apartment. And even though I have perfect rental references, I've never been evicted from any place. I've always paid my rent on time. All my utility bills are accurate. My credit score prevented me from even getting a place to live. Um, and that's and then it was a fact. And one of the things I ran into, and it shouldn't be a problem, but it is a problem, is the fact that I was a woman and I was in a relationship where my husband did all the working. He handled most of the finances at the time. And so I was looked down on because basically it was both our credits, even though he used it, I didn't work. I was discriminated against, like I was the perpetrator of doing all the bad credit. And like I said, I even had proof that he had signed these checks, his signature, not mine. But yet it fell back onto me because I was married to him at the time. And so it's just a nonstop. Just like people need to be educated, first of all, about credit cards and stuff, because I never was. I agree with your guest. Credit card has helped me build my credit. I got my first credit card. I started out with a secured credit card, but I paid them $200 to give me the credit card to build my credit back up because it was so horrible. And started going from there to where I got my normal credit card, which doesn't have a secured on it. But it took me many years to go through this process. I had to learn, educate myself that you don't want to use more than a third of your credit card, because the minute you do that, your credit score drops.
Okay, yep.
So it is a big deal about keeping your payments on time, making sure you're not going, you might have a $2,000 credit card limit, but you do not want to use $2,000 of your credit card limit, because otherwise you're defeating the purpose. You are not doing and building your credit at all. You're making your credit worse by doing those things. So, yeah. And then, just all the different things of, having people check your credit for random stuff that you don't need. Those hard inquiries affect your credit. I mean, just so many things that people don't even know when they even get a credit card. We don't even pay attention to those things. We wasn't taught those things. And those are big deals. Because I had to learn by trial and error, and it's just like I said, the car thing, I went to get the car and the car was a mess, and he played on me because he knew my credit wasn't the greatest. And here I was, a woman trying to rebuild my credit, oh, this car, you're gonna pay your payments on time. It's gonna help you build your credit, and and to find out the whole credit situation was a scam, and the company that was having the car loans was nothing but a scam. There's actually lawsuits against this car company right now that gave me the loan to get a car that the motor was going out, that clearly they sold me a warranty that they weren't going to fix. So it's just, yeah, you got to be careful with loans and any kind of credit. And you definitely want to educate yourself about, how to handle it before you really need it. Because like I said, there's been times when I did really need it, which, like I said, I'm grateful now that I'm getting to the point where I've learned these things and I'm building my credit back up and I'm getting out of the situation. But I can also say now I'm very more cautious of what I would do with my credit, and even being married, if I would even want to open up my credit to share it anymore, even though it was supposed to be a joint thing, I would be very cautious even about doing that, because of the simple fact that I've been through the situation where it came back on both of us, and they don't care if you get divorced or not. They just want their money.
Absolutely. Well, Miss Laura, thank you first and foremost for being so transparent, because I knew that you had experiences with this, and I knew that you would, tell the truth, shame the devil, because the more you know and apply, the more you grow. Not the more you know, the more you grow. The more you know and apply, the more you
Oh
grow.
yeah,
So thank you so
you're
much.
welcome. I
Now,
gotta go.
okay. What I want to do is, Chu, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. But first and foremost, I want to talk to you guys just a little bit about, why money skills are important, because you you can't do anything without money, baby. But this is the thing. You have to understand the difference between wealth and riches. Riches are not going to help you truly create soul independence, set and reach goals, live responsibly within your means, and prepare you for your future. Wealth is what you want. So when we're looking at developing a financial plan for ourselves, we have to, number one, look at our resources and understand your expenses. I always say this: if you got a job making $75,000 and you go and buy a $50,000 car, you only have $25,000 left to live on. So if your rent is $1,200, 12 months out of the year, that's $14,400. Now you only got what? $10,600 left. What you gonna do with that? Exactly. So you have to set financial goals. Then you identify and evaluate what you want to do, and you take action. But see, this is the part about taking action. When you take action, you have to take action and review your progress. You got to know how to budget your money. Use online banking, people. Please use online banking. Now, I know my mom, y'all, I fuss at her all the time. Y'all know my mother older. But she'll call me now, Lil, can you check my account and see what I got on checking? Because I even get after her, Mom, look, don't start overdrafting because you ain't got nowhere to go because it's coronavirus. Understand your checking account and your savings account. Understand that you definitely need to try to save 3 to 6 months worth of a salary so that you can be okay in case the coronavirus hits. You're not waiting on no stimulus check. And you got to understand credit and also understand your debit cards. And so, True Hefner, I want to come to you because one of the things I know is that as an entrepreneur and as someone who invests in individuals and invests in business, what are some of the jewels that you would like to drop, or some of the things that you would like to tell us that you look for when you're looking even at businesses or individuals to invest in?
I think really, kind of just looking at where your tangible return on your investments are gonna come. Because in this world, it's gonna be a lot of risk. Where do you want to consume that risk? When you spending cash, liquid assets, you're consuming all of that risk financially out of your own pocket. Whereas when you're doing it with plastic, you kind of splitting the risk and giving yourself a little more time because that risk is not out of your liquid assets. So I think a lot of times understanding where can you afford to be risky is gonna be something that you kind of want to, as far as time, something that comes into place. being very strategic in how you make your investments. Like for example, I had an opportunity to get in the space recently, and I took a financial risk out of my personal pocket because I didn't want to split that risk elsewhere. I didn't want to do anything on credit, and that was kind of the best option there. So that if I had to take a loss, we could nip it in the bud, and it was measured beforehand. Versus when you go sign up, and let's say you get a car note, and you taking that loan out, and you splitting that risk with the bank. You got to understand, or even when you buying a house,
Okay.
when you splitting that risk there, now you get to spread that out over time. And it is more beneficial for larger investments. So I think when it comes down to investing, and you want to take that risk, you really want to do a real risk assessment on those losses in particular, and how they're going to impact your liquid situation. Because once you got your cash tied up in something and you lose it, now you can't use that cash for other things, for your day to day, operation. Something, it may just be gas money. So looking at where your liquid assets are versus your credit or plastic assets, taking into consideration that risk assessment is probably going to be a real thing that a lot of people don't really know to do. It's not the first thing that comes to mind when you're deciding paper or plastic. I kind of keep it real simple and short.
Wow. Woo, you just took us to school and to church. Lord. All right, so risk assessment. Wow, risk assessment. You're right. That's something that we really don't think about because I know, and like I said, let's be transparent. When you want something, you want it. But I think that as we grow and mature, we get old enough for our what they used to say. You old enough for your wants not to hurt. And so I think that that's probably something that we really have to assess. Assess the desires of our heart against those things that we really need. Now, they're calculated risk, and I think that's where you were going if you really got into it. And we definitely gonna have to, get you back when we started to talk about IRAs and Roths and loans because I think that that's something that's very, very, very important. But Alex, what jewels would you like to drop for everybody that you seemingly picked up since you started working with your credit?
Okay, so I would say that, like Laura said, that's her name, correct, Laura?
Mhm.
Okay, like she said, those hard increases, they really do affect, and the more that you open, they really do affect your credit. But I think more so modules are going to be dropped from my experiences with working retail while I was in college. And you know how, when you go to Victoria's Secret, it's like, do you want a credit card? They are trying to get you to open a credit card. And so I would say what I'm about to drop comes from more of that than my own because we know that each time we run a credit, we already know that it's hard and we know that it's going to affect your score. Now, the other person may not know that. Again, if they're not educated on credit, they may not know that. They might go look at this person like, what happened? I didn't open a card. But the fact that it was open, that the credit card, I mean, that the credit was ran anyway, is going to affect it. Um, and we've had a lot of situations where it'll tell you right away if you're improved or not. You know that because you have many, so it tells you right on the spot. But with that being said, though, I've also worked at Verizon before too. Now that one is much different from somebody getting approved because you can get approved, but you may have to pay more than someone else does for that first bill. They might be like, okay, so this person has a 750 credit score, zero down, pick out whatever phone you want. Your first bill is on this day, da 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 da. Okay, this person might have a 400 score. You're approved, but we need 400 down today before that you go ahead and get this iPhone and all that. That's the difference. So, and that's when I really learned about credit. And I was like, why do they have to pay 400? I was like, based on credit. We can't see the credit. But if it's that high, 400 down, you can kind of guess what their credit score might be, or at least the range. So I just remember telling so many people, you got to pay 400 down. They were like, what? Again, and they're like, what is it based on credit? But they couldn't tell me what's on the credit, why it is, and again, that's not my job to say that. I'm working at Verizon, I'm the consultant. I am not the credit repair agent, so therefore I can't look up your credit for you and tell you, but I saw that a lot. I saw it a lot. Or like Laura said with the couple, one person might be good to go. The other person like, okay, we're gonna put this in your name then because if we put it in my name, we're gonna pay $800 each right now today that we probably don't have to get these phones today, but we need a phone, so we're gonna put them in your name. So I think that's what really introduced me to getting this credit card. Just not even from learning myself, but learning from having to do it with customers, and it kind of made me learn from their mistakes. But it was a good lesson though. So although I couldn't see their credit scores, I can kind of guess what range it was in based on the down payment. And then some outright Verizon was like, "No, I don't. We no $400 payment, no nothing. Just you
Mm.
have to come back later or something like that." And like Laura was saying, with the whole apartment thing. So I think a lot of my jewel dropping comes from my experience with retail and having to offer the credit cards to customers and having some customers get upset if they run the whole credit card up or if they put an authorized person on the credit card to use it and the other person has put a lot of money on the card and come in looking crazy. We're like, yes. They're like, no, this is fraud. Like, no, we'll pull up the receipt, the signature for you. Here you go. And that's gotten a lot of people in trouble. So it really taught me a lot working retail with credit because I'm like, dang, okay, let me note here, note here. So yeah.
Wow. And Alex, thank you. Thank you. Guys, and Josh, I'm gonna come to you, but listen, understand what credit is. Know your limits. Don't get in over your head because a credit card is a loan. Anything not paid back
The
in full is
devil.
just an interest charge. Like, and I think it's important to and look, you also have to understand interest rates because you got non-installment credit, you got installment credit, you got revolving credit. Now, see, department stores and bank cards are like revolving credit. Your installment credit are like your car loans, your home loans, purchasing furniture. And your non-installment credit, once again, is like Alex said, American Express. And Alex, I know all about American Express, baby. They gave me one when I was young, because I was already working. And so, there are advantages and disadvantages of credit offers and options. So, and we have to definitely address those elephants in the room because the reality is this: they're convenient. You got immediate purchasing power. You don't need cash. Your bills can be consolidated. And for real, you almost have zero liability on fraud. But remember, it's a loan. The interest rate can go up. It might include additional fees, and it can be easy for you to overspend. And I think that's the thing that we don't think about, how easy it is to overspend. So if you want a credit card, I'm not telling anybody don't get a credit card. I'm not telling you don't get a credit card. But what I am saying to you is, if you do get a credit card, shop for your credit card like you shop for everything else. Shop for your credit card like you shop for everything else. Because at the end of the day, it's important. It's important to have decent credit. Joshua, I'm going to let you take us out with your pearls of wisdom.
All right. So it's all a game. Um, when you know the rules, um, there's a saying that said, "Don't hate the player, don't hate the game, learn the rules."
Oh,
A lot of the things we don't know with credit, it's not just a matter of getting a credit card and just paying it every month. You know, we're not understanding the leveraging aspect. Now, I know you brought up the authorized user. Now, from some credit experts, they do state that you can do the authorized user. Just don't give the other person a card, and then that way they won't have no effect on your credit. But you'll be able to, they'll be able to leverage as far as off of yours. It's called piggyback. A lot of people you can look it up on Google, and it will explain it as far as in detail. See, The other ethnic groups, they start their children young. As authorized users, they don't give them a card, and then by the time they get 18, they're walking away with like an 800 credit score. But they also too put their name under a business, so that, and then get a business credit card, so that way they can have some longevity, because they want some credit history. You just can't just do the piggyback and not have credit history. But I would say I'll go back to when I worked at Sears, and I remember, like I said, I did collections, and I was calling someone that had like 15,000. They charged like 15,000 on the card, and the person died. So I was like, wow, so how is Sears going to handle this? So the supervisor came over and he did something, and he discharged it. This what I mean by, as far as understanding the credit game. A lot of times, we on the basic level, so we don't get the advanced part. So we need to learn as far as, like, really as far as what credit is. A lot of time that stuff could be discharged because it's already paid for. So when we say credit or paper, both of them, you really as far as just need to learn the game. Learn the game. Learn the game as far as even in the matter of credit. Only take two people on the authorized user. It only take two people to get everybody in your family credit on point. Just two. Don't give them a card now, so they can, because you already know what their spending looking like. So just get, but imagine everyone in your family have 800 credit score. Now you all can leverage. You can get those $500,000 loans and stuff like that. Especially if you start like a family business and everybody just leveraging. So there's there's multiple things as far as with credit that we have to take into consideration. But that financial education, with that, we need to learn it. Because we begin the short end of the stick, and I forgot what this author name, but it was a brother. They called the Conspiracy of Credit, and I recommend everybody get that book. And he breaks down, because he figured out the game, to where the FBI's and all them was coming to his house and stuff like that, and
Oh, wow.
because he was able to maneuver. See, like how we look at bankruptcy and stuff like that, we might look at bankruptcy as something bad, when they look at bankruptcy.
Oh, that's how I learned. That's
Yeah,
how I learned.
yeah. I mean,
That's
because
one thing.
I
Let
mean,
me just say this real quick, Josh, because I know when you be ready. But one of the things that I will say that I really really hold on to. My mother always said, "Lil, if you really want to know the truth of the matter when it comes to certain things, you got to look at some blue eyes." And I didn't get that because I'm like, my great grandma had blue eyes. What you saying? But I get it now. I get it now. So I think that, and I think what you're saying is this life we live, it's all a game. It's all a game. And I think that we really have to understand we have the cards. We're dealt the cards. We got to figure out how we're going to play the cards that we're dealt. It's like a big spade game. You can have a butt hand, but if you got a bomb strategy, you're going to take that butt and you're going to make it do what it do. And so I think that all of us collectively have a responsibility to one another. I have a responsibility to Alex to make sure that I give her all the jewels that I have so she don't make the mistakes that I made. Shu has a responsibility to us to teach us the system and the process because that's what his formal knowledge is of. Joshua, you have an obligation to all of us through your brand Build the Bullshit to teach us how to build and stop bullshit from your personal experience and recognizing the issue, restoring ourselves from that issue, right? And then
Correct.
the restitution thereof. And so I think that if we all collectively come together and we continue to educate one another and we continue to love one another the way I know we can defeat the establishment relative to credit and we can conquer what we need, and that's generational wealth. How does that feel, y'all?
Mm.
Did I
That's
kind
on
of
point.
sum it up?
Yeah,
I'm
you summed
taking
it
everybody off mute.
Hey.
Shoot.
But that's why I'm glad that we have this platform and we can stream and, not only bring something to the table for each other, but the people that are also watching too. That again, we're not taught that or don't know that
Nope.
too. So
Nope.
yeah, I agree.
Nope. Well, listen, I'm happy. I'm excited. Thank you guys once again, guys. You rocking with all things authentic for the next 2 weeks. We are still talking about what's up with your bag. This is Joshua Dore of the Build the Bullshit brand. That's my baby doll Alex, and you have to check us out every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Our online isolation series has premiered. It premiered Tuesday night, so if you didn't see it, go on YouTube and see it. You will definitely see us in action. You will see Alex the unbothered, and you will see Liz the bothered. And we definitely pull it up. And I'm gonna try to get True Up in the back in here so he can take us out with his antics as he always does. So Chew, take us out. I'm gonna leave it up to you to end us out for the evening. You muted.
up.
He tried. See, you know what? It won't meant to be because we can't even hear you. It won't meant to be. So, guys, once again, it's your girl Lily Mae. You are definitely rocking with the Brown Mermaid Mermaid on all things authentic. Joshua, thank you. Alex, thank you. Two Hefner, thank you. And guys, if you want to, come over to my Instagram live because you might get a hell of a surprise from me and the man with the plan, your boy Shu Hefner. So, good night, everyone.